So guys, why have we been seeing a trend of artists complaining about what their labels are doing to them and how they hate their labels and telling people not to sign with labels? Well, for one, when you sell your soul for money, you put yourself in a predicament where your label controls when you can drop music, what you can do, when you can do it, and how you can do it. And that's what we're seeing right now with a lot of artists, even heavy hitter artists like Meek Mills, not having control of their own craft. We've seen artists from Rod Wave, NBA Youngboy, Meek Mill, as I mentioned, Bobby Shmurda. All these people talk about how their labels will not let them drop music and letting their fans know that it's not them, it's their label. And as much as people have been saying this in the past, that don't sign with labels or pay attention to your contract, these same artists that are posting this had the same advice that everybody else had, that they're trying to put out, and they didn't listen, and they still signed with the label. I don't know how serious and how desperate they were for money, but when you're popping and you're jumping, you can get whatever you want from that label. All you have to do is learn how to open your mouth and speak for yourself. So let's expose why these artists are complaining about their labels. So one thing I notice is these artists always complain about how their label has them in a grip and won't allow them to do anything, won't allow them to release any music. As Bobby Shmurda said in this, they got a 70-year-old lady running their label. Yes, all these labels are ran by people who are 1,000 years old and are out of touch with reality, but they have so much power that the artist can't do anything. Even NBA Youngboy logged back on to Instagram just to say don't sign to Atlantic. Because why? They're not allowed to release music when they want to, how they want to. They're not allowed to even talk about certain things in the music. They have no control over their music. These record labels have been manipulating artists for years. And these artists aren't smart enough to realize when they're signing that contract that they're getting ripped off. You see Meek Mills complains about his label. There's a war against the labels. And not only because the labels won't allow them to release music, it's more to the story. Like I said, you got artists like Rod Wave complaining about their label also. But it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than them not just being able to release music or not getting paid their money. It's much more to the story. Artists don't know that in those contracts that they signed up for things that they never expected to sign up for. So that's why a lot of times when you see these artists disrespect their label, they always turn back around and apologize. Why do they apologize, you ask? Well, we're about to go into that right now. So the thing is, a lot of these artists don't really read their contracts. They get lawyers to read over the contract for them. But like I said, this industry is all just it's a repeat cycle. It's a loophole. So with that being said, once they sell out to these labels and they start disrespecting them labels let them know, hey, did you know in your contract that we have sacrifices for you? And if you keep disrespecting us like that, we will make you the sacrifice. We will take everything you have. The labels basically give them a loan and let them know, hey, if you disrespect us, we have the right to take every single thing you have and we will drop you from the label. That means they'll leave the artist with nothing. Nothing, no money, nothing. Cars, clothes, their housing, everything will be gone because a lot of this stuff is given to them by the label, even down to the jury. So these artists get very scared and they back out and then they always issue an apology. And these old people that are running these labels are very, very powerful old people. They're just not regular old people. So these artists get really scared when they realize that they're dealing with somebody who's a real gang lord, a real gang leader, who can have them wiped off the face of the earth and nothing's gonna happen. They get stuck in these contracts because they're rushing and they want money and fame so bad that they give up everything they have to get such little in return. A lot of these rappers are signing for hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is really no money. And they're making the labels millions of dollars. So the label's making a killing off of them. A killing. But the artists fail to realize that until it's too late. And then these old people have a tradition of making the artist a pawn in their game. They like to be under control. So that's why you have a lot of times you have them in predicaments where they won't allow the artist to do certain things until they get their approval, until they get their thumbs up to do it. It's all about control. And these labels have been having these artists under their control for a very long time. So you see artists complain, apologize, complain again, apologize, and then they talk about how great their label is, because they just turn into a puppet. And a lot of times, like I said, it takes too long for them to realize that. And then they get stuck doing these crazy rituals that they don't want to do. They get blackmailed. They go to these Hollywood parties. They get drugged. They end up sleeping with other males, female artists, getting advantage taken of them, being videos of them sleeping with people. They have all types of stuff where they blackmail these people to the point where the artists realize once they start disrespecting them, these labels will bring up, well, we're just gonna give this video to the media of you sleeping with three guys at one time if it's a female artist, or a male artist. Well, we got you doing sexual intercourse with another male for money. That's what it's gonna be about, where you're sleeping with a 67-year-old white male because he's a billionaire. But y'all drugged me. No, we didn't. The media doesn't know that. So it's just gonna be, for instance, Meek Mill or NBA Youngboy or whoever it is slept with such and such. Like, this is how they control them. And this is how they get stuck in these wacky contracts. Everybody's been wondering why Bobby Shmurda hasn't been dropping music. It's because his label won't allow him. They have complete control over him, in which they have had for the past 7 or 8 years. Even while he was locked up, they refused to drop him. One, because they look at him as a dollar sign. It's all about controlling this society, man. And the industry has sucking the life out of these artists and taking their souls. A lot of times people think when you say they sell their soul, like you think they just gave them their soul. No, that's not what we're saying. You no longer have any control over yourself. Your actions, whatever you do, everything is monitored and controlled by an elite group of people. Just like Bobby Shmurda said, a 70-year-old white lady or old lady, whoever it is controlling his label, his music, and everything he does. These are people completely out of touch with reality. And guess what? They make these artists promote violence. You guys keep wondering why these rappers keep promoting violences, having girls shaking their butts in videos. It's because they are controlled by the industry. And in order for their music to get dropped, it has to match whatever these label runners want. So if you're not talking about killing other black people in your music, or you're not singing about being some kind of sex slave, they're not going to let you release your music until you fit the narrative that they want you to fit. And if you go against them, you will get destroyed by the media. You know, guys know it happens to a lot of artists that go against these elite industries. The media slaughters them, slanders them. All these kind of blogs and stuff start coming out about them. They get put in predicaments where sexual assault allegations. Whenever a black person in general decides to prosper and do things, they get slandered by the media. You know, black people aren't allowed to have generational wealth. And a few things you guys probably didn't notice. Anytime a black person is starting to do something very big and successful, they get hit with sexual assault allegations to stop them from purchasing some kind of big network. Snoop Dogg just became the owner of Death Row, the owner of Death Row. Then a sexual assault allegation came out from 2013 right afterwards. Same thing happened with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was about to purchase NBC. And then all these sexual assault allegations happened. He ended up going to jail. He didn't end up buying NBC. This is how they destroy the blacks from having generational wealth. Anytime we're about to do anything, these powerful people that control the industry and control the media put out these fake stories to hurt their credibility and stop them from becoming a powerhouse in the industry. And it's been doing so for years. But nobody confronts them on it. Nobody says anything because people are scared of them. And like I said, black people have no control in society these days. It's all controlled by the same group of people. And which has become very scary now because these same group of people control the majority of the wealth. And they're trying to keep it that way. So nobody really pays attention to how anytime some kind of big name black person is trying to do something to create generational wealth or have some kind of ownership, they get sexual assault allegations. It's always sexual assault allegations. That's because they're not allowed to. So right now, there is another person. I don't want. Well, you know what? I'm gonna say who it is. I am. So guys, Brian Allen is planning on purchasing the Denver Broncos. Now, this is something I would love to see happen. The guy's net worth is $400 million. He's probably going to try to get a loan in order to purchase the Denver Broncos. But because how the system is worked and how they try to blackball black people from purchasing NFL teams and stuff like that, allegations about him will start coming out. We will start seeing sexual assault allegations, guys. And I can promise you that. And like I said, this has become a trend in the past, a very big trend of them doing this type of stuff. So when people are quick to say, why don't black people just start or buy their own business or buy an NFL team or do this or do that? This is why. Because anytime they try to do so, something comes out, some kind of story comes out to destroy their legacy and prevent them from doing so, guys. This is how the industry works. This is how the elites works. And this is how they keep black people down. This is why artists are selling their souls and not understanding the situation. Y'all wake up, man. The industry is no game. And eventually, we're going to start seeing a war between rappers, labels, mainly not even just rappers, black people and labels. It's a lot going on right now, y'all. But be prepared. It's only the beginning. And I'm here to expose everything. Remember what I said about Brian Allen, guys. Watch how allegations will start coming out about him. Anytime black people try to make big moves, they get drugged down. That's how the game goes. Stay woke.